May I please request your honor? Before you, Mr. Saul Jermaine Epps, here on case number 2022 GS 450166. He was indicted on charges of domestic violence of a high aggravated nature and burglary in the first degree. Your honor, he is represented by the Williamsburg County Public Defender Office, and I believe Mr. Bergeron is representing him this morning. And this is defense motion for bond reconsideration. It was originally denied at the magistrate level, and I'm pretty sure the defense counsel has an explanation as to why they believe it was denied at the magistrate level.
You want to tell me about it?
Yes, Your Honor. On September 4th, 2022, Sergeant Grayson with Williamsburg County Sheriff Department arrived on the scene and observed a female standing on the front porch and a male subject at the steps. Sergeant Grayson recognized the male subject as Mr. Saul Epps, who attempted to walk away and was redirected back. Mr. Epps was then asked what happened. He then began talking gibberish, and this officer could not understand much of what he was saying. He was able though to decipher some of the words that he was saying relative to the questions that were being asked. That's when the officer noticed that Mr. Epps' hands were bloody and were dripping blood. Sergeant Grayson also noticed a female at this time who went inside the residence who was bleeding from the head area. As officers waited for backup to arrive, Mr. Epps was read his Miranda rights. He waved them and began to tell officers what happened. This officer again deciphered what he was trying to say. He stated that he was dropped off by a friend, Mr. Christopher McClary, and he kept saying, "I know someone is in there, I know someone is in there." He asked, did she let him into the house, and he replied, no. He asked, how did he get in, and he looked and nodded his head towards the window on the right side of the victim's bedroom window. Officers then asked, how did you get in, by asking, did you bust the window out? That's when he replied, no. At this time, other county deputies responded to the scene, Deputies Miller, Santiago, and Jones. A statement was then obtained from the victim, Ms. Sharon Elmore, who stated that Mr. Epps was calling all day, asking her to let him come over. She stated that she repeatedly told him no, and that she did not want him to come to her residence. She stated that a mutual acquaintance, Mr. Christopher McClary, did drop him off and left. She told officers that she called Mr. McClary back and asked him to please come and get Saul, and that's when he stated that he refused to do so, and he don't have anything to do with that. Ms. Elmore stated that when Saul got there, she would not unlock the door and told him several times to please leave. She stated that is when he went to her bedroom window and began banging on a board that is used to close the sides of the air conditioning unit up in an attempt to break in. She stated that's when she called 911 and had them on the line during the incident. She stated that Epps then went to the front door and began kicking down the front door. She stated that, and she was in her bedroom when he entered. She stated that once Mr. Epps made forcible entry, he began assaulting her. She stated that after hitting her, he got a knife out of his pocket and attempted to cut her with it. She stated that during the fight, the knife landed on the floor instead of across the floor. Ms. Elmore sustained bruises to her head, scalp, and facial area, and all of those injuries were photographed by law enforcement. In regards to the victim Bill of Rights, we spoke with Ms. Sharon Elmore. She stated that she did not want to be in court this morning because she does not want to face him. She is still deeply terrified for him. She asked that he does not receive a bond. She said in the event that he does receive a bond, she would ask that it is explained clearly to him that he is not allowed to have contact with her directly, indirectly, and she would ask that he does have to submit to GPS monitoring if he is in the bond.
Please, Court, Your Honor. Yes, sir. Your Honor, I represent Mr. Saul Epps. As I stated before, throughout the week, Mr. Epps was originally represented by Street Anderson, who was transitioned out of our office. Your Honor, I guess I'll start with the first one. Mr. Epps was denied bond at the magistrate, and based on the information that our office received, there was I believe the magistrate was under the impression that Mr. Epps was already out on bond for charges that we discovered that were not tied to him. I believe, based on what I've gotten, is that he and his son share the same name. There was a belief that the charges that I think were attached to his son, that he was out on bond for those, but he was not actually out on bond for any charges based on what I have at the time that this incident happened. But the belief was that he was out on bond, and when he came into the magistrate for these charges, they denied it based on that. If I'm incorrect in that, I'm confident the solicitor will respond. But that is our belief in why he was denied bond. Currently, he's got these the true charges, which are the burglary charge, and I believe the assault of high and aggravated nature. Your Honor, there's always three sides to every story. There's one person's side, there's the other person, and there's the truth. Mr. Epps and Ms. Elmore were involved, they were in a relationship. On the date in question, Mr. Epps said Mr. Epps had been staying there. He wasn't living there, but he had spent a substantial amount of time over there. He could go and come as he pleased. And the date in question, he believed there was someone else in the house. For lack of a better word, he believed that there was a little bit of infidelity that was happening. When he came to the house, he looked around because he thought he saw another man or gentleman in there. He then went through the front door. Now, Your Honor, based on what he was charged with, and I know this is not the time to try the case, he's being charged with burglary. And based on the pictures that were provided and discovered that I saw, there does not appear to be any forcible means of entry into the home. The door does not appear to be kicked off the hinges. The doorknob still appears to be visibly working. And according to Mr. Epps, he went in right in the front door, and they began to struggle because he was trying to look at her cell phone. And Mr. Epps said that when he got in the house, the back door was wide open, appeared someone had just left. And the struggle ensued because he was trying to look at her phone. Now, Your Honor, as far as bond or bail is concerned, everyone has a constitutional right to bond. And Mr. Epps, he is from the King Street area. He lives at 4225 Thurgood Marshall Highway. He indicates that's a residence that is his, and that he would be able to return there. He works for a farmhand, also a handyman. He's lived in King Street his entire life. He's 42 years of age. He does not have a passport. He does not have a car. So in every literal and figurative sense of the word, he is not a flight risk. We do not believe him to be a danger to the community. And Your Honor, I would say that the court would have to take notice that if Mr. Epps was truly a danger to Ms. Elmore and to the community, I would think she would want to be here and have her presence felt, have her words felt in court. She's elected not to be here. And I believe that is a clear indication that this is a lover's quarrel that got out of hand. But I do not believe Mr. Epps is a danger to the community. He is based on my review of his background report, he's very minimal criminal history of any. I saw some traffic charges, possession charges, and nothing that rises to this level. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm confident the solicitor will correct me. So, Your Honor, we would ask for a reasonable bond. Mr. Epps, he made a mistake. This was a lover's dispute. They both were, from what my conversation with him, they both were fighting and wrestling each other. But he certainly did not break into her home. They were in a relationship. He believed that there was something else that was going on in the house. He admits that he had something to drink that night. But Your Honor, we believe that he's not a flight risk. He's not a danger to the community. And we would ask the court for a reasonable bond, especially like he was never really given this opportunity at the national level to get that.
What kind of record did he have?
Back in 1998, he had a trespassing, 2000, a simple possession of marijuana and petty larceny, 2008, a public disorderly conduct, 2017, public disorderly conduct, and 2021, an assault of a third degree with the same victim.
I said at $75,000 church bond. If he makes bond, he's to have no contact, direct or indirect, with the victim, to stay off the victim's property. He's to wear a GPS monitor. He's supposed to be at home, at work, hospital, or the lawyer's office. If the monitoring company sees him somewhere he's not supposed to be, they are to contact the solicitor and pick him up and bring him before the court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
May it please the court. Your Honor, before you is Kathleen Watford Mitchell on indictment number 2022 GS 45204. Your Honor, she's waiving presentment today and pleading guilty to one count of burglary in the third degree, first offense. She's represented by Virgil Barr of the Williamsburg County Public Defender's Office. She has served 55 days in the county jail. state's recommendation in this case is a short period of probation with restitution to be paid to the victim in the amount of $861.
Ms. Mitchell, you're pleading guilty to burglary third degree, which carries up to how much time?
Up to 5 years.
Up to 5 years in jail, is that correct?
Yes.
Were you in the courtroom just a few minutes ago when I went over your rights to a jury trial?
Yes.
Did you understand those rights? You would give up your right to a trial and plead guilty today?
Yes.
You satisfied with the order?
Yes.
Has anybody promised you anything to get you to plead?
No, sir.
Anybody threatening you in any way to make you plead?
No, sir.
Or are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol?
No, sir.
Do you agree with restitution in the amount of $861?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this came to law enforcement's attention on 9/21/2022. They responded out to 228 Lambert Road in the Andrews area of Wadesboro County. They met with the victim in this case, Mr. Carlos Marshall. Mr. Marshall disclosed that someone had been inside of his home or in a building he owned and taken several some lawn care equipment such as a steel weed eater, a Husqvarna chainsaw, and other sundry items. He strongly suspected that Alex Woodard and someone named Catherine Watford and Miss Mitchell were the people involved. Law enforcement conducted an investigation in that case. They went to some local pawn shops and recovered some of the property, but not all of it. Eventually, law enforcement interviewed Miss Mitchell on 10/14/2022. She was given her Miranda rights and was open and candid with the officer. She said that her husband, William Smith, was locked up in Berkeley County. She was told by Alex Woodard, the unarrested co-defendant, that there was items of value in the victim's home that she could pawn to get bail money for her husband. She did agree that the missing items were the lawn care items I just discussed. Your Honor, I've spoken to the victim's bill of rights, been complied with. Both he and law enforcement believe her to be less culpable than the co-defendant. That's why the state recommendation is what it is.
All right. I'll accept the plea. Yes, sir.
At this court, Your Honor, I had the privilege of representing Ms. Mitchell. I discussed with her, as the court gave her constitutional rights to have a jury trial with all witnesses. She's expressed to me her desire. We had a conversation where she was very adamant with me that she wanted to deal with these charges today. She wanted to take responsibility and get this matter. As the state indicated, she was not the quote-unquote ringleader in this. To some degree, Ms. Mitchell was kind of led astray by this other gentleman who was kind of the culprit in this, or the kingpin in this, Mr. Woodard. Be that as it may, Your Honor, we would ask the court to accept the recommendation from solicitor. We would ask for, as I understand it, the court probably has to put a short-term probation as she has restitution attached to it. Your Honor, if the court can, we would ask if after a short-term probation for not to exceed 6 months afterwards, if there is still restitution owed, that can be either converted to a civil judgment or something that allows her to be able to get off probation and not have to continue on. It may take her a while to make this $821 payment.
Since our 43 years was suspended 6 months of probation and awarded $861 in restitution and is picked up should she fail.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And how much credit does she have in jail?
55.
This is Christian News TY. I'm Tony Conyers. If there are any newsworthy events in Williamsburg County, we will get them to you as soon as possible. If not, you can follow us on Christian News TY Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube, and you can follow us on our website.
My name is Aubrey. My name is Reagan. My name is Riley.
And my name is Robert.
For the best news,
Turn down the bass.
push that button and follow us.